What's up, YouTubers? PokeJediTrek's here. So, as you know, Christmas Day is 3 weeks away, and as many of you know, that Santa Claus is coming in 3 weeks. And if you want to leave some Christmas cookies out for him when he arrives, I'm going to be showing you an ideal idea for what you could do. These are called candy cane cookies. So it could match the theme about what you're gonna. So to match the motif of one of the biggest associations with Christmas. So let's go over what we need. So what you're gonna need to make these candy cane cookies, you need baking powder, butter, sugar, flour, peppermint extract, cream of tartar, red food coloring, vanilla extract, and eggs. So let's get started. So first things first, once you have softened make sure your butter is soft, you're going to add 1.5 cups of your white sugar to the mixing bowl. And you're going to mix it all together. Here's your 1.5 cups of sugar. Because as you know, you gotta make sure you have your butter. You gotta make sure you have a whole cup of butter, soft, which makes 2 sticks, which is generally 2 sticks. But butter comes in variety. But butter is packaged differently, so make sure you pay attention. Next, you're going to add one egg to this mixing bowl. And you're going to mix it all around and cream it together. Next, you're going to add 1.5 teaspoons of your peppermint extract. Assuming I can get this thing off. So here's a fourth, half, 1 1/3, whole, 1 1/4, 1 1/2. And then I'm going to grab the. Ooh, it smells great. I like the smell of peppermint at Christmas time. Anyway, I'm gonna see if I can get this. Then you're gonna add 1 1/4 teaspoons. 1 1/4 teaspoons of vanilla extract to this mix. Here's a fourth, half, third, whole, 1 1/4. If I added a little extra, it wasn't my intention. Just a bit clumsy. Just trying to be careful and make sure the measurements are precise. And then you're gonna mix this together for a bit. Now this is going to be very difficult to figure out to measure because I don't have an 1/8 teaspoon measuring spoon. So this recipe calls for 1/8 teaspoon of baking powder, and it calls for 3 cups of all-purpose flour. I just added 1 of the cups of flour. Now I just got to add the other 2, and then I got to mix them together. Here's the 2nd cup of flour, and here's the 3rd cup of flour. And then you're gonna mix this around. think this mixing bowl is too small. So I had to transfer everything to a bigger mixing bowl because this one is too small. The one I was using was too small. I'm gonna have to knead this stuff like I would. Gonna have to knead it because I can't. As you can see, I do not have an electric mixer, and I'm using a fork just to save myself the hassle because I don't have an electric mixer, especially for this next part. As you can see from what I was mixing earlier. But another one of the most important things you need to do to your dough, the next essential part of your step is to. So the next step is to add you're going to add your red food coloring to half of the dough you made. I'm trying to do this without staining my hands. As you can see, this is not an easy process. I have to. As you can see right here, I had to put some gloves on because I don't want to stain or ruin my thing. I don't want to stain my fingers with the red food coloring. So as you can see, I'm doing this so I don't. Yeah. Kind of looks like raw meat, doesn't it? Anyway, now for this next part, you're going to take both your bowls and you're going to stick them in the fridge for a whole hour because they need to chill in the fridge for a whole hour. Whoops. Alright, an hour has passed. We're going to take the cookie dough we're going to take this cookie dough out of the fridge and prepare for this next step. So next you're going to cut off slices of the dough one at a time. Like so. And then you're going to roll them up into little balls. My goodness, this dough is firm. Oh my goodness. Anyway, you're going to roll, and then you're going to roll your dough up like this. And then ooh. Boy, this dough is delicate. Anyway. And you're going to wrap the dough around like so. You're going to wrap, and then you're going to wrap it around and shape it like a little candy cane, like so. And before I forget, we need to put some wax paper on a cookie sheet and preheat the oven for 350 degrees Fahrenheit. Oh, come on. And then you're going to line the pre-made cookie up onto the wax paper. In fact, I'm going to try again. And what I mean by try again, maybe I should probably make the cut dough just a little bit thinner. Because apparently I made that one too big. Sorry if this is off camera. Oh. Oh, boy. I made some really delicate cookie dough. Not the best, but it'll do. Okay, 7 minutes. Alright, oven's been preheated. We're going to stick these in the oven and let them bake for 7 minutes. Alright, 7 minutes have passed. I'm going to take this batch of cookies out of the oven, and then they need to cool for at least 10 minutes. As you can see, I got 2 batches of cookies made. And also, I've also kind of underestimated being able to cook with wax paper and putting it in the oven, because I thought the wax paper would be so delicate it would catch fire easily. Okay, 10 minutes have passed. I'm going to transfer these to a cooling rack. Huh. I actually underestimated wax paper, you know? I had no idea. I didn't actually think wax paper was oven safe. Anyway, I'm gonna let these cookies cool entirely. Once these cookies have cooled, I'm gonna sample one. Alright, so I'm gonna sample one of these cookies, and oops, one of them fell apart, but oh well, should still taste good anyway. I'm gonna sample one of these cookies. That tastes great. I mean, adding the peppermint extract actually helps make these things taste like actual candy canes. So anyway, that's how to make candy cane cookies. Thanks for tuning in. I hope to see you next time, and happy holidays. What's up, YouTubers? PokeJediTrek's here. So, Christmas Day is only 3 weeks away, and today's cooking video is actually an ideal...